If you're thinking about purchasing vacation rental property, you definitely want to make sure you follow these 5 initial steps that I have prepared for you today. A short-term vacation rental property can be a very profitable investment. However, careful consideration and serious research and making sure the criteria is met um, should be definitely found before embarking in this endeavor in order to avoid some costly mistakes. Most importantly, finding out whether a short-term vacation rental property is right for you is probably the most important step that you can take prior to initiating yourself in this down this road. Once you know whether you can do it, focus on making it happen so that you can enjoy the rewards of a profitable long-term investment. So stay tuned. And if you want to find out whether a short-term vacation property is right for you, take a look at an article that I have wrote recently on the description, and then follow these 5 initial steps. The first step will be to establish a budget. Knowing what your budget is prior to starting the long process of searching and researching is critical. At this stage, you will need to determine whether you're going to purchase your investment cash, or obtain financing, or use the proceeds from a 1031 exchange. There's basically 3 ways to obtain financing. You can either get a mortgage to purchase the home that you're buying. For this, you will first need to shop around and make sure that you can get the lowest rate possible. The second option will be to take cash out or refinance your existing home. And the third option will be to obtain an equity line of credit out of the home that you're living in now. And there are some pros and cons for each one of them, but you definitely want to get pre-approved from a lender before you start looking for a home, because with the housing shortage supply that we're experiencing at the moment, it is very difficult to compete and make offers if you don't have a pre-approval letter in place. Now, one thing that you need to keep in mind is that most lenders want land on property that you're planning on purchasing for vacation rental. And the reason why is because most lenders require 1 year at least of rental income in order to land on that. So there are a few lenders out there that do provide loans for short-term rental properties, but you definitely need to do your homework, and it's probably going to impact the interest rate. You might be able to get a loan from a lender that provides these loans, but you might be paying a higher interest rate. On the other hand, if you're able to obtain refinance, get the loan from your existing property, that would probably be the best way to go. Because if you refinance the home that you're in and take some cash out, you will be getting the lowest possible rate, which is for primary residence. The other option, if you get a HELOC or an equity line of credit, there might be a little out of your home, there might be a little bit of a risk involved, only because it's an adjustable rate, and things are changing now. We're seeing interest rates, rise. So if you were to get that, then you will be risking having to pay more in the future. So you definitely want it, if you can, go with that fixed rate. Other method that you will want to use is, if you're selling an investment property, will be to purchase your vacation rental through a 1031 exchange, which allows you to defer your taxes on capital gain as long as you continue to exchange properties. So this method allows you to buy up to 3 vacation rental properties or 3 investment properties. I do have a whole video specifically about 1031 exchanging properties for vacation rentals that I'm going to put the link below so that you can check it out. The next step is to research the area. There are many factors in an area that are very important to consider. Restrictions is the first one. Typically, if you're buying within the city limits of an area, there is a good chance that the city might not allow new applications to start a vacation rental or have some kind of restriction. Therefore, you will want to make sure that you contact the city to find out whether that is the case. And in order to avoid investing in an area that either has restrictions or any kind of entry barrier, try looking for traditional vacation home areas, especially those closer to national parks, state parks, beach, rivers, lakes, ski resorts, or other popular attractions. As you're researching the area, you definitely also want to check how saturated the market is. That means how many rentals are there and are they getting a lot of demand? For that, what I usually like to do is actually to check out the prices and the availability. So you can actually go to, for example, Airbnb. And the area that I chose was the Yosemite National Park. And I chose the month of June between the 24th and the 26th for 4 guests. And you can kind of see how many places are up there for rent that time of year. Right now it's March, so let's take a look at this first one here. And you will want to go into their calendar to see how booked they are. And you see for the month of June that they're actually pretty booked. All these little lines means that those days are taken or blocked. So more than likely they're just taken. You have a few days still left for the month of June. July looks like it's getting booked. August, we're a little farther, but they're getting there. Then you will look at May. Compare those days and then go to the next competitor and take a look at what their rates are. Let's take a look at this one here for 335. It's a chalet and it's good for, it's a 2 bedrooms, 1 bath. And let's take a look at the calendar here. Looks like for June, they're getting already bookings, and July they have fewer bookings. Again, it's just the month of March right now. May, they have more bookings. And as we go earlier, April, this is what April looks like. They still have a few days left. March, looks like they've been pretty booked this month with only 3 days available. So that's a good indicator. So 335 is what they're charging a night. So when you look at their supply and demand, you want to make sure that pretty much everyone in that market is getting their days reserved. So that will give you a good idea of whether that will be a good area for you to invest. So the next step you'll want to take after checking out the area and researching whether there are restrictions and their calendar, you'll want to take a look at the profitability or the potential profitability for your investment in the area that you're planning on buying. So there's basically a couple of ways that I use for evaluating the profitability. And the way number one for me is to check out the competitors' rate by going onto these travel platforms like Airbnb and checking to see what everybody else is charging. So what I've done here, and probably the first step before you put any dates, you want to put the area and choose the amount of people, and that's going to give you a base rate. So for here, I did, again, the Yosemite National Park area, and I added 4 guests, and that's giving me the base rate for everybody. That way you can kind of see a clear picture of what the nightly rate is, not considering the seasons. You know, sometimes they charge a higher rate. People charge a higher rate in the months with higher demand, like the summer, you know, the spring and the fall, part of the fall. Typically, Yosemite, there's a lot more demand during those months, anywhere between March and October. After that, it becomes a little more difficult to have access to that area. But you can see here what the going rate is. Of course, it depends on how big the home is and how many people you can get for a 4-bedroom here. It's only a condo, it's 159. a night. That's the base. That doesn't mean that if you try to book in May, it's going to be the same rate. More than likely, it will be quite a bit more. 6 nights, 6 guests, $325 a night. 9 guests, it would be $375 for that one, $276 for 8 guests. It depends on the home. Each home in that area is different. You don't get the same type of home everywhere. 5 guests, $259 for this one. Depends how close to the park is, whether there's a lake nearby. $325, how the bill of the home. This one is for 8 guests. $179 for 5 guests. The entire loft in Yosemite National Park. So it's a studio. This is for the entire cabin. 10 guests for $394. So that kind of gives you a good idea. You get a pretty good nightly rate in this area. The other tool that I like to use is AirDNA, which is a website. There's a subscription involved, but actually it kind of gives you quite a bit of information there for the nightly rates and how booked they are. It gives you a percentage of what the vacancy rate is. Typically, you want to look for at least a 60% vacancy rate in order to make a profit. And it gives you quite a bit of information. I'm actually going to leave a link below for you to take a look at. But basically, just going into these travel platforms like Airbnb or VRBO and taking a detailed look at the competition will give you a pretty good idea of where you're at. Also, I have put together an Excel spreadsheet for you that is going to be available in the link below for you to check out. You can actually download it and input all your information there, all your numbers, and figure out whether the numbers make sense and kind of go from there. So the next thing that you will want to take into consideration while you're trying to figure out how profitable or if you can generate a profit out of the investment that you're purchasing is to include all your expenses, not only your mortgage, taxes, and insurance, but you will also be responsible for paying utilities, the garbage, Wi-Fi. You will also have to have a budget for your initial expenses having to do with furnishing the property and getting all the supplies that you will need to get it started. And you will want to put all of that into that spreadsheet that I mentioned to you, all those numbers there. Also, if there is any repairs or any maintenance, you're going to be responsible for that as well. So you want to definitely cover that as well. One of the advantages too about Airbnb or VRBO, vacation rental property for that matter, is that the guest pays generally for the cleaners. So that would be one expense that you wouldn't have to incur in most cases. So in order to maintain a good occupancy rate and diminish the amount of days that you haven't booked, you definitely want to make your days, your calendar available most of the time, or if you can, 100%. And only book if you're going to enjoy your property. Just book it for days that are not quite as popular or have a lesser demand. That way you can maximize your revenue for the rental of your place. The next step is to hire a real estate professional. An excellent real estate professional will help you get the most for your money and negotiate with the sellers the best term for your particular situation. And while you're buying a home and making offers, I would recommend for you to do 2 things. The first one is to set a budget aside for repairs or upgrades, unless you ask the seller to do some of them prior to closing. So within the terms of the offer, you can, your agent might advise you to ask the seller to fix certain things prior to closing, or a credit in lieu of repairs. This is basically common practice. Although in a seller's market, this can be a little more difficult to accomplish, it can still be done. even if you end up having to offer more than the asking price, the repairs can be requested within the offer for either the seller to split the cost or to cover the whole amount. The second thing that I will highly advise is to, again, set a budget aside for furnishing initial supplies. If you can buy a home that is already completely furnished, more power to you. And a lot of times sellers don't want to have the, to cover the cost of moving all their furniture. So they just include or sell the furniture with the sale of the home. So that would be one great way to go about that. But you will have to do some planning ahead and being able to basically have a list of all the things that the home will need in order to make it ready for Airbnb. I actually have on my one of the articles that I put together a checklist of like an inventory checklist of all the things needed to start an Airbnb. And I have links to where to acquire or shop for these different items. I will go ahead and leave a link below. You can check it out. And what you can do is that you add to the cart on the website on Amazon, say, all the items that you want to purchase from this list. And then you can look at the total in the cart and kind of get a budget from there before you buy anything. And you can also put that amount in the spreadsheet that I have for you available on the site. The last step that we'll have after you purchase the home is to prepare the property and get it ready for vacation rental. And the first step in order to prepare your property is to tackle any repairs or maintenance that needs to be done. So a lot of times a house maybe needed a fresh coat of paint or changing the flooring or repairing the heating and air system or replacing certain windows or faucets, leaky faucets. You definitely want to accomplish that before you get your house available. First of all, it will make it look a lot better, more desirable, which will mean so you will get a higher nightly rate and a higher occupancy rate. And the second reason is you don't want to bother your tenants or your guests once you start doing the rental and have to block days for making these repairs. So you definitely want to make sure that you get these done ahead of time. And the next thing that you want to do is to stage your home for success. And for that, I actually want to show you some of my own vacation rentals that I manage. And let's take a look at this one located in Sonora. This actually is a beautiful home that the homeowner purchased probably about a year or so ago. And she actually got really lucky and was able to buy it furnished. And they had timeless furniture. They had mid-century modern looking furniture. And you don't want to go and just have knickknacks everywhere. You want to have, clean countertops, clean areas, a comfortable area, sitting area for your guests. And you want to have it, if you can get a home that has an open plan and have an area where people can have, say, playing area. Here's the bedroom. One of the things that I really recommend is purchasing duvets for the comforters and get, actually, I like the goose down comforters. They're really warm. People really love those. Invest in a really good mattress. I have a link, like I mentioned, on my website with an inventory, checklist inventory for all of that, all of whatever you need for your Airbnb. You want to make sure that is all, for this trundle bed, you have, the comforters, you have plenty enough bedding available for your cleaners to replace. This is a loft area. So the timeless type of furniture, mid-century modern, which you can also mix with some, you can mix it also with some vintage items, you know, will provide the best. This is another one. Here, actually, for this couch, it was not even a brand new couch. It's a gently used couch, very comfortable. And we just bought a cover for it, fitted cover for it. You can get online for about $30. And so that way you don't have to spend on buying a new couch. This table, for example, we purchased at a estate sale, and we just painted the legs, and you know, just looks beautiful. We changed the floors in this home. These chairs were purchased at an estate sale, and it's reclining chair as well. We put a fitted cover on it. You want to make sure you invest in a good size TV, that you have plenty of things for kids to do. You have, you know, plenty of seating for everybody. The table actually was acquired at a garage sale, and the chairs we bought online with my lamp there. Again, the beds, that's the one thing you definitely don't want to buy used, and make sure when you buy your beds that you have a mattress cover and pillow covers, protectors, of course, and then you get your comforter. I do invest quite a bit on the comforters. I like to get the top quality goose down comforter for people, because you know, if you look at the reviews that we have, there's lots of people just raving about how comfortable the beds are. For one thing, you'll get some good reviews there. There's nothing like coming to a home that after a long drive together, coming to a home where you can actually have a good night's sleep. Let me show you. And I'm planning on doing a whole video on staging, but basically you just want to make sure that your home shows well, that you don't have knickknacks everywhere, or you don't have an old TV, that, you know, you show a good seating area for people to have. You want to have some artwork on your walls. You don't want to make it too overwhelming, but you want to have, you know, clean countertops, if possible, invest in some newer appliances and that kind of stuff. So that kind of gives you a good idea on the staging. Like I said, I'm planning on having a video just on that. But you definitely want to stage your home for success. It's going to mean higher revenue and higher occupancy rates for your homes. I hope you enjoy and found this video useful. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact me at the link below. I'm also going to make sure that I leave the information I mentioned before on 1031 exchanges and the spreadsheet for calculating the expenses and your income potential, as well as the list of the for the inventory checklist for what the must-haves for your Airbnb. I am a real estate broker here in Northern California and able to help you if you're buying a home or selling a home up in the area. I'm also able to help you anywhere in the United States if you're looking for an agent, and I'm able to match you with someone who can help you and who will be a good fit for you, and who can both have the experience and the expertise to help you achieve your real estate goals. So I hope you stay tuned. Don't forget to subscribe and share this video. Thank you.